Happy Sunday. Thanks for joining us here on ABC 10, your hometown station. I'm Yaqing Li.
And I'm Alexis Bauman.
And this is Wake
Up.
Up. And you're pretty green today.
Yeah, you're green yourself. I don't know if it's the spring in the air or our green thumbs that we're about to learn about.
Because it's so fresh and I'm ready to plant some plants for this season.
I know. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and we're going to learn a lot from Linda today. I think the viewers are going to enjoy all the gardening expertise she can offer.
Thank you so much. And here we are. Hi, Linda. Nice to meet you here.
Nice to meet you too.
First, could you tell us what's your personal experience? What make you decide that you're gonna dig into the dirt and do the plants?
Well, we built our house in 1992, and every year I would add more sod to the area. And my mother used to do a lot of gardening and stuff, so I always admire her gardens. And I was putting annuals in because we have 3 different layers at the house, 3 different tiers. And we had a friend come over and he said, where are all your perennials? At that point in time, I didn't know the difference between an annual and a perennial, okay? And, well, I haven't planted them yet, I told him. I didn't really know what it was. So I went and started taking all kinds of community schools classes on gardening and things because I had an interest in it all along, and I wanted to learn the right way to do things. And, all the classes and stuff, and that initial thing about, where are your perennials started me getting the interest and wanting to do more and create beautiful things.
Thank you. So what's the differences between those two?
Annual is something that lives its life in one season. It bursts out with color, and color lasts pretty much the whole season, and then it dies. A perennial will last for 3 or more years and give you a lot of pleasure that way, but it will have a shortened blooming season, so then you have to try to figure out how many perennials do I need to extend my season, because some will bloom earlier in the spring, and then, in the beginning of summer, then in the middle of summer, and then in the fall. So you create a garden that way by picking out different items depending on when their bloom time is.
Thank you. And we know that you have a store in Ishpeming now. So could you tell us a little bit about this store?
It was a dream of mine to be able to sell plants. Well, first of all, I wanted to be a personal plant shopper because I could always find the unusual plants that people would come to my garden and say, well, where did you get this plant from? And I would tell them, well, I got it here, there, everywhere. And that was my goal, to be a personal plant shopper. But every time I said that, people would laugh. And I didn't think it was funny, though, really. But anyway, that's why I decided, well, I will be a nursery, and pick out what I want to pick out. And hopefully people will be happy with the selections that I make.
Yeah, thank you. Alexis, do you have any other questions about Linda's experience?
Of course. Yeah, Linda. When you first started gardening, did you expect that it would bring you here to your own nursery? Did you believe that your passion for gardening could take you this far?
No, I didn't. Actually, I've always said, I am the chairperson of the Ishpeming Beautification Committee, and it kind of is a movement more than a subject or just an idea. You start planting a little bit in your garden, and then you want to learn more, okay? And then when you learn more, you want to share with other people. And then through beautification efforts, you get to work with people you wouldn't know otherwise. So now you've created new friends, and then you attend seminars and things, so you meet some famous plant people, and it just keeps escalating and escalating until finally you open up your own shop, and you hope that people will come and you can teach them what you know.
I definitely looked over the plants that you already have in stock, and they were very unusual and bright and beautiful. And I know myself, I want to get into gardening, and just seeing these unusual plants make me want to start all the more. So you're definitely getting that interest just by showing the great products that you have to offer.
Thank you so much. I try to, with this educational bed, I want to educate people on what they can do and how wonderful proven winner plants are. You have any questions? You need help with anything? I'm not going to come and plant it for you, but I'll help you. I'll tell you what you have to do. I'll recommend the product that will work the best for you, and it's the right plant in the right place, and you'll be successful. And that's my hope, that I can help everybody have a successful garden.
And that's a very aspirational hope.
Thank you. So that's back to this season, because it's kind of the season that people kind of start planting their plants. Like personally, I planted a couple trees like 2 weeks ago, and I noticed there's like kind of different layers. When I plant the trees, like my host family told me, oh, there's like different layers when you plant a tree. But I'm kind of confused. So could you tell us, like, when you plant the trees, what should you notice and how much water that you should put in for the trees?
Okay, when you first plant them, they need a lot of water. That helps them get established. I would water it every day to help it get established. And when you plant it, you could make a little berm around it so the water stays around that area and soaks in really well. So the first year, you want to water it quite often to get it established. And the second year, I think you can relax a bit, and you should have a well established tree by that time, so you don't have to worry about. Pardon me, my throat is dry. You don't have to worry about so much water.
Thank you. And like for the yard, people, do you have any recommendations for people? Like what kind of the flowers that will be easier for them, or like will be, like decorate their house beautifully?
It all depends on your location. First of all, if you're looking for perennials and shrubs, you have to know your zone. In Ishpeming here, we are zone 4. You go to Marquette and by the lake, it's zone 5 and could even be a little bit higher by the lake. So you have to find the right, like I said, the right plant in the right place. You have to know if it requires sun or shade. How many nutrients it needs, if it's a heavy feeder like a Vista petunia or any type of petunia that needs a lot of fertilizer, or something, a shrub or whatever that just needs a little fertilizer at the beginning of the year and it's fine for the whole year. That's about the best advice I can give you. Know your situation, know your area, know the site, and know the requirements that the plant has.
Thank you. So what's the zone different, like how people know that?
You can go on a U.S. hardiness zone map on Google, and that will tell you. And the cold, the lower number is the colder temperatures. Like zone 4 goes to like 30 below, and it's for a certain amount of days out of the year too. I mean, if you have a zone 5 plant and maybe you get a couple 30 below days, it won't bother it as much as if it was the whole winter like it was 30 below. This past winter, actually, we had a fairly decent winter. We didn't have that many cold days. It wasn't until the spring where we kind of got, the up and down temperatures. But that normally happens around here, But, know your zone and your temperatures. Zone, I think it goes down to zone 2. I don't know if there's such a thing as a zone 1. I should look into that. But I mean, that's like 50 below. And what people say is, why would you want to live in a zone 2? Whatever, You don't belong there. Plant your garden.
Yeah, that's so cold.
But so as the lower the number, the lower you can go in your temperature. The higher the number, the higher the temperature is. There's also heat zone requirements too if something can't grow in too hot a temperature. So, normally they say, well, this plant is good in zone 4 through 10. And if you're in 11 or whatever, that might be too hot for that plant. So you have to take that into consideration. And you got to watch it. Like when you go into big box stores, they got all kinds of different zones in there. So you got to watch what you're buying.
Yeah, we talk about the temperature, and I know like water is also important for the plant.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there any general idea like for how much water should we give for the flowers or like plants?
Most of it is to water, but have good drainage. So, I mean, it's not going to tell you need a cup of water or anything. It's going to tell you water, normally water, heavily or sparingly, whatever, but you always have to have good drainage because most of your plants can't sit with their roots in the water unless, of course, it's an aquatic plant. And some of that, like that papyrus grass that they sell, like king tut and queen tut, and I don't know, is there a smaller tut? I can't remember. I think prince tut. You can put that right in a pond. You know, you got to know your plant. It's all comes down to knowing your plant and your conditions.
And when you plant the plants, like how deep should you put the plant in?
Don't put it any deeper than what it is in the pot.
So it's kind of like the height level of the pot, and that's how much.
Yeah, that's as high as you should go. But like in a tree, if you plant your tree too high, not hugely high, but maybe an inch or so high, is better than planting it too deep. If you plant it too deep, it's going to suffocate. If you plant it too high, you know, like an inch or so, I wouldn't, like a foot, you're going to be in trouble. But I mean, inch or so, it will adjust accordingly. But, you know, you got to watch that too because some people will just take a plant and go deeper than heck and wonder out why it didn't grow. And don't go any higher than what it is in the container you bought it in. And if you do seeds, they'll tell you how deep to put the seed, and then you leave it. The only thing that I can think of that is different is tomato plants, because it will root all the way up and down the stem. So you can plant those deeper. You take off the bottom leaves and you can plant those deeper, and you will get a healthier plant.
Thank you. So, I talked with my coworker yesterday, and he told me he planted 16 plants this year, and they all died. And so he kind of curious. So when we put the seed in, because he think that maybe his seed is way too old.
Could be. It could be too old, or some of these fly-by-night seed companies don't sell the best seeds either. It all can be in that, I know I switched seed companies because I took hydroponics. I took the indoor agriculture class at NMU so I could know how to grow hydroponically, because that's up and coming thing which has been around for thousands of years, but it seems like a new thing all the time. But the seed quality is a big difference. So I suggest researching the different types of seeds and the company you buy it from. Also, he could have planted them too deep. I don't know what kind of soil he planted them in. What if he planted it in a heavy clay soil and it's going to just suffocate in that? It's too heavy for it. And if it had too much water, there's a lot of variables. If he did it outside, if he did it inside, he probably did it outside too quick. The soil temperature sometimes has to be at least 50 degrees, unless you're doing cold crops or whatever. There's so many variables. I would say you can call me first, and you can also use Professor Google. Does a good job at a lot of things too. So sometimes you got to take him with a grain of salt, but give me a call and I'll help you out the best I can.
So how you usually pick up a good seed? How you just it's a good seed or it's not kind of high quality?
Yeah.
How you pick
How
that
do
up?
I pick that up? I look to see what most people are using. Okay, in our hydroponics they use Johnny's seeds, and we had good luck with those. So that's the company I went with. So research, you could go, I don't know if Google rates companies or anything like that, but I did it by what they used at NMU.
Thank you. So, and when you plant the seed, because you said it's quite different with when you already buy something already grow up, like flowers.
Right.
So, like, is there anything that people should notice when they plant, like, with the seed?
Read the back of your seed packet will tell you how deep. I don't think you have to use a ruler or anything, but just use your eye measurements or whatever. But if you go too deep, the seed won't germinate. And then if you're doing it indoors, it has to be, some seeds will germinate only if it has light. Others don't need the light. There's so many. It's research, education, all of that is involved in having a successful garden.
Thank you. Alexis, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, when we mentioned trees before, would you say there's a different process for planting trees that you would say are pines or oaks compared to fruit trees? Is there a big difference?
In my opinion, I'm not used to planting. Well, I did plant some blue spruce, and I like to do it in containers. And you can plant, it depends on how hardy the zone is for a tree. It can stay in the container over winter if you have a proper container and a nice place to put it, sometimes like in the back of your garage or something. But yeah, I think between plants and trees, different depths and stuff, but pretty much the same thing as to read directions. I know we don't like to read directions, but that comes in handy.
Definitely. I was also going to ask, for the bee population as it continues to dwindle down, would you suggest any flowers in particular to help, nourish them or help that population? Or did you notice any flowers that attract them more?
Well, all the pollinator plants, and eventually we're going to have a pollinator garden over there. Just haven't gotten to it yet. The weather has been so crummy. But I know bees are attracted to blue flowers. Monardas, anything like the Veronicas that have the little tiny flowers on it, they like to climb up them and get all the pollen on there. Penstemon, they like to go in the little tubular flowers. They even like pansies, stuff like that. If you have a flower with a lot of petals like this, it's hard for them to get into. So single flowers, single petals are better, like in roses or whatever for them. Like blue collars, they're attracted to a lot of things. I suggest and I support mason bees. They get those, have you seen those little bee houses that they have all the little wooden rods in it, that little circular holes? Yeah. They are a native bee, and there's several hundred native bees species in the state of Michigan. I forgot the exact count, but I know it's over 300. And mason bees, and they won't hurt you. All they want to do is pollinate. And the only one that could sting you would be the female, and they tell you, well, only if you step on it. Well, if you step on it, you're not going to feel a sting anyway,
Right.
if you got your shoes on. And, so anyway, support mason bees. Don't use sprays, insecticides, or anything. Watch what you're doing there, because that's what's killing our population. We love bees. Bees are the mainstay of our gardens. So you can get lists of pollinator plants on the internet. I just named a couple. I got a head block right now. But anyway, anything that's blue, they really like. Anything with tiny little flowers like alyssum, they'll just crawl all over that. And then there's another one, Semissifuga. They've changed the name now, but I don't know what the name is. But there's a common name called snake root. It's a big spiky plant, and it gets these really fuzzy flowers on it. You can see the bees. They're like in paradise going up that thing. They'll just crawl up there and go around like this and just have a good old time. They're happier than heck in that plant. Anything you see like that. And if you have a problem trying to figure it out, like I said, go on the internet. That'll help, or you can give me a call, because I'll hopefully have that bed going by then. But yeah, support our pollinators. Please stop using insecticides or anything that's harmful to them.
Thank you. And I know butterfly gardens are becoming increasingly popular. Do you have any information regarding, what to do for those, or how to get started with those?
They're basically the same type of a plant like the bees go for. And hummingbirds like tubular plants, the ones that like honeysuckle, stuff like that. What you call it? Milkweed. Okay.
Oh, yes.
They lay their eggs on that. That's the only supporting plant that their young feed on is milkweed.
Wow.
Yeah, and the population, milkweed has been kind of obliterated by farmers and stuff who don't want that in their fields. But I do see it in the woods still. I have it in my home garden. You can get caterpillars on there. Please don't use insecticides or any sprays because that's going to kill them too. But it's poisonous actually, that plant. And the caterpillar eats it, and the caterpillar gets that poison and is supposed to discourage any predators because they don't want to eat that poisonous caterpillar. But some of them still do. But so you got to watch out for that too. But have plenty of pollinator plants. There is butterfly bush that a lot of them go to. I've seen them on hydrangeas. They like to go to hydrangeas. Sweet lilacs. I've seen them covering lilacs. Just do your research again. Many plants they'll go to, but they have to lay their eggs on the milkweed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
With the abundance of like rodents in the Upper Peninsula, did you notice any that gravitate towards certain species of flowers that aren't necessarily fruits or vegetables that they seem to like to get into?
Yeah. I planted 13 fruit trees over there, and the rabbits obliterated 7 of them. You see the tree wrap I have on the bottom? That's to protect it from the rabbits. But the snow got so high that the rabbits went all the way up and girdled it, ate all the bark all the way up. You can see the sticks right there? That's a couple of them that I dug. You see against the building?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That's the damage the rabbits did. And I found out, I have a lot of deer around my house. So everything you thought that they wouldn't touch, they will touch if they're hungry. This past winter has been really bad for deer damage, but mostly like if you have false cypress, they won't touch it. This year they did, and like they won't eat the milkweed, but a rabbit will.
Okay.
So the best thing I can say is if you use Milorganite in your yard at all, which is an organic fertilizer, it has a very strong scent. If you put that around, they will stay away from that for a while, but you have to keep on applying it. But the benefit to that is it helps your garden. It's organic. It's not going to burn anything, so it's organic. And I also like to use plant skid. Now that's bovine blood, and it has a strong smell again, and that will deter the deer and the rabbits for a lot longer time. I mean, you don't even have to reapply it when it rains, so it'll last a long time. Come to see me. You can see what I have creating in the back is constantly changing. I have a lot of beautiful plants, knowledge that I can help you out with if you have any questions. Plants are amazing things, and it's a very healthy hobby. It keeps you fit, makes friends. You want to keep educating yourself. That's about all I can tell you. It's really good. It's a good thing to do. And we beautify, and we make spaces for our bees, our butterflies, and our hummingbirds. So they all benefit from it. And also ladybugs. Don't forget the beneficial insects, ladybugs, dragonflies. I've even seen wasps. Everybody hates them, but I saw them. One wasp, there was a nest by our window at our house, and he flew into a dogwood that had these little green worms on them. He picked up that worm and he brought it to his nest. I said, "Hey, you're all right in my book. I'm not going to do anything to that one." There's a lot of benefits out there to the insects that we don't realize. Only 1% of the insect population are bad bugs. But it seems like we get more of those than we do the good bugs. But you got to start determining which are which, and saving the good ones too. It's all in what we do. stay off the insecticides, herbicides, support our pollinators, have a healthy garden, keep safe and happy with your garden, and you'll just be proud of what you do.
Thank you so much, Linda. Thanks for taking this interview.
Oh, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And if you got any gardening questions, you know where to come.
Thanks for watching us here on ABC 10, your hometown station. That's all for today. If you have any good story ideas, please send us through email at news@abc10up.com. Happy weekend, and Wake Up will see you next Sunday.